Good morning. Good morning, all of you watching this live video right now. All of you who have viewed this video later on in the day or whenever it might be. I hope that you're all doing well this morning. My name is Phelan again with the Taylorsville Road Church of Christ, and I'm here to offer you another dose of encouragement on this morning. I will now be offering you this dose of encouragement on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Saturdays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So on this morning, I want us to come from the book of Ecclesiastes, and it's a really great book to study, to really learn from Solomon the preacher about the vanity of life if viewed from the human perspective and not from God's perspective. So now I want us to turn our Bibles over to the book of Ecclesiastes, and we're going to read chapter 12, verse 12. Or verse 13. Verse 13. All right. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13 and 14. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is man's all. For God will bring every work into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or evil. Now we have here Solomon the son of David, a preacher, addressing a congregation of what seems to be young men, according to chapter 12, verse 12. Now, Solomon was the wisest, the richest, and the most influential king in Israel's history and in his days. By his wisdom, Solomon tells the assembly and us today about his views from life from the human perspective and from God's perspective, or the spiritual perspective. And from the human perspective, life is vanity. He says in the first verses of of his book, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. And nothing can fill the void in man's heart when experiencing life apart from God. But once seen in God's perspective, there is meaning and purpose to man's life. When viewed from the human perspective, there is no profit from all of the labor and toil of man. One generation passes away, another one comes. The only thing that abides forever is the earth. The events of this world run a continuous course from day to day, all full of labor that man cannot express. From the human perspective, there is no satisfaction in the day-to-day activities. And that which has been is what will be. That which is done is what will be done. And there is nothing new under the sun that has not already been in ancient times before us and before them. There is no remembrance of those things in the past, as there will be no remembrance of the things that are to come in the future by those who will come after. Solomon says, I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and indeed all is vanity and grasping for the wind. What is crooked cannot be made straight, and what is lacking cannot be numbered. He closes out the book with the conclusion of the whole matter. He says, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is man's all. For God will bring every work into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or evil. Now, what does all of this mean to us? What does all of this mean to us? It means that all of our activity performed in this world has no meaning at all if not done in the name or by the authority and for the glory of God. The present things happening in the world are vain. They are just empty acts if they are viewed and done from the human perspective and heart. If this were all viewed from God's perspective, it would be done in a loving, peaceful, gentle, humble way. Looting, vandalizing, murdering, etc. These are not done from a spiritual perspective or from God's perspective, but from the human heart, from the human perspective. Our protests may be spiritual or worldly. Either one. It depends on your motives. It depends on your perspective. But let us examine our motives and do what is the acceptable will of God, as Romans chapter 12 tells us. As Solomon stated in his conclusion, fear God and keep his commandments. What does this mean, practically speaking? If we would have all feared God and kept his commandments in the first place, there would be no reason for the events taking place today. But since fearing God did not exist and his commandments were not kept, we are in this present place in time. Now that we are here, what do? The only way to bring about the peace desired is to do what was not done in the first place. Fear God and keep his commandments. If that does not happen, what will happen is just what Solomon said. One generation will pass away. The next will come, only forgetting what happened in the past, only to repeat it again in the future. And the cycle will continue. Our duty as Christians is to help the world see from the right perspective. Paul says in the book of Colossians chapter 3 verse 1, if you then be risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ sits on the right hand of God. If you have yet to make Jesus the Christ your Lord, you may do so at any time by reaching out to the Taylorsville Road Church of Christ. Feel free to seek biblical wisdom and counsel at any time. Either message us on here or call us at our listed number, or you can now join us at our worship services as we are now meeting again. And if you're a child of God who has not viewed life from God's perspective and you want to now get back on track and fear God and keep his commandments and repent of those things, please reach out to us at any time. Please, we hope that you have been comforted and guarded by this message. We hope that you tune in tomorrow for another dose of encouragement by our brother Andrew Omer. I would ask that you continue to spread love, continue to fear God, continue to keep his commandments. God bless.